but first take a look back at one of those Barons.
Yeah, exactly, because H2K, specifically against Misfits, which you can see on your screen, this game was even. It was 1-0 in favor of Misfits, and they went for the play.
What's this?
And they get punished for it.
Like, all of them are staying behind the Baron, except for Santorin, who jumps out, and then he flashes back in, and they're taking damage from the Baron. They're stuck in the pit. Like, not great, Trevor. Another thing that's not great is how much we buffed Nuno.
Yes.
And that's why he's banned in our first game.
Exactly. And looking back at the replay, of course, there was an Azir and a Tristana on the side of H2K. They had the ability to scale and defend if they can hold off. If they don't, get absolutely run over.
Yeah, if not every single member died in that fight, and this is what happened. They lost the game a minute later, and it's happened twice now for H2K. They lose the Baron, they lose the game.
Let's turn our attention to the champions, of course. Sejuani, Cogmore, Tahm Kench all played last week. Tahm Kench, one of 2 champions that's still 100% presence, I believe, along with Kalista, in fact. Both of them are banned away. Galio, Camille,
I like the Galio ban.
Not really too surprising here. Nunu on the current patch, 8.2, that's why he's gone.
See, I still love Sejuani when she's available. I think she's far and away the best jungler you can pick. So I think that would be a good choice for Unicorns of Love. But there's a problem for them. They played Azir once. It didn't go well. I don't think they want to play Azir again. And I think they're scared that if they don't grab the Ryze here, H2K picks it up, and Exileh might be forced into playing Azir, which is not really in his favor. So they grab it early in this draft.
And that explains their priority, you know, remove that risk. Zoe was still up. Caedrel fancies his chance on the aspect of the Twilight, I believe is her title. And Deficio, to go back to our sort of pre-game, we're going to look at Exileh and his performance this game, see the impact he can have. Because
someone picks Sejuani.
He was one of the most exciting Ryze players last year.
Yeah. He was the original after the rework kind of happened in Europe.
Yes, he brought those Realm War plays to Baron and, you know, put him on the map here in Europe. No Sejuani yet. Kold's going to go for the Jarvan. And H2K are going to have some time to respond here. Do you think they take the Sejuani? The answer is no, because Jayce is locked in instead.
They value getting Smittyj a counter matchup top. And I think this actually does make sense, even though I'm sad to not see the Sejuani. Smittyj is the best performing laner on H2K's side. They like to get him in good matchups where he's on a carry, where he can win and be fit. He can do this on the Jayce. They clearly value it so highly that they take it above the jungler and say, you blind pick Gnar? Great, we have an answer. And Zoe as well for Caedrel. HK were like, if we don't care about you picking Ryze, like there are multiple mid laners we can trade for. Fun not to see Azir in the first one here, but Zoe is still a strong pick.
Well, Sejuani's taken off the table.
Of course.
No surprise there. Let's turn our attention to supports. We heard Dracos talk about the changes on this patch. Obviously, the changes to the new quest line items, giving you that sightstone. Promisq has only played Braum. All 4 games on stage have been on that Braum.
Can do the same again.
Is it worth like first picking in phase 2 at this point? Leave a jungle counter pick if that's a thing?
I mean, they can do that if they just want to guarantee it with also Tahm Kench being banned. I think Braum is a safe blind choice in that regard, unless they think that they can actually counter pick the support from Unicorns of Love. We saw things like Zillion getting picked last week, which came kind of out of nowhere.
Yep.
That could be a surprise. Promisq might have ready, but I think going Braum would also be fine. Like, technically the last 2 picks to have jungle and support are probably some of the easiest to blind pick in the current meta. So it's a pretty easy last phase for them.
We'll see what H2K decides. It's going to be a Zac after the Sejuani Kha'Zix rounded out UOL's bans. Still, very powerful pick. Still has got some team fight in it, but when I look at the rest of the H2K champs, it's Poke Deluxe, Siege Deluxe with that Jayce, Caitlyn, and Zoe.
5 traps down, bubble from long range, firing away. Smittyj winning his side lane, going into mid as well, like super strong siege comp from H2K. A lot more focus on Unicorn side on engaging, which of course is a great answer to siege. So you might actually get a game here where we have HK lining up to try and land the poke, and then Unicorns love pulling the trigger and forcing the fight. That would be great to see. You got Alistar right now, you got Jarvan, you have Ryze ultis. Like, there are so many ways for Unicorns to start a team fight. I would like Braum here. I think he's great against, you know, this kind of engage, and you have a lot of poke to protect.
Promisq currently 4 games played on that Braum. Obviously only that single victory to his name.
The value last pick, the Braum.
Against Fnatic, and it is the Braum last pick. So we've got ourselves the makings of that poke siege comp from H2K, and somewhat of a death ball composition here from UOL. They definitely want to group up and throw themselves at H2K.
A lot of tools in the early game as well. A lot of lanes I feel like they can play around, because you have mid lane with Exileh, who can very easily Rune Prison onto a Zoe. Currently sitting on Cleanse, which is could be a smart choice against the Ryze, but you know, Rune Prison Zoe, she can't get away. Jarvan gank. We've seen that happen already. Bot lane, Alistar engages, followed up by Jarvan. Like, there are two lanes there you can definitely play around if you are the Unicorns of Love. It's only top lane that might be a bit of an issue for you.
Other than maybe the priority on picks, are you a little surprised? First draft on 8.2, currently the teams that are sitting at the bottom of the table, no real curveballs yet, right?
I mean, this patch didn't actually bring that many champion changes.
Right.
I think one thing to highlight, of course, is the nerf to Ezreal was fairly large. And
so he's not there.
So he's not there. Ornn as well did receive a pretty big nerf. I think these champions can still be played, but in this draft, we clearly see them go down the priority list. Yep. Not even picked, not even banned. I still think not having a Azir is kind of odd, because he's my favorite mid lane at the moment, but still, Ryze, Zoe, just like last patch.
Well, look, Caedrel opted into that Zoe-Ryze matchup, right? It was first pick Ryze, first rotation Zoe. Let's see what Caedrel can do with that aspect of the Twilight. Kold, the man on your screen, once known as Trashy, locked in the Jarvan as opposed to the Sejuani, which was open and available. So let's see some early ganks, let's see some early pressure on that pick, especially when you've got, you know, lanes like the Alistar, like the Ryze that you can gank from, play around if you want to.
Crowd just keeps it going, man. They're like, come on, cut into the game here. We've been clapping for like 30 seconds.
They have indeed, as we load up onto the game. It is the very first game of patch 8.2 worldwide here in the European LCS. Unicorns of Love taking on H2K Gaming. Both teams looking for a win. Unicorns looking to just pick up their first of the 2018 season.
And H2K looking to move closer to the playoffs spots here and get away from Unicorns down at the bottom. Remember though, there is no relegation here in the spring split.
Oh man, no relegation, so they've got that safety to play with, but nobody wants to be at the bottom, especially for two teams that have regularly found themselves in the playoffs. Deficio, new patch, new discussion point, new topic. Oh. No relic shield. Yay!
AD carries, buying real items early on.
Now, Deficio, I don't understand what this is. Can you explain it to me?
Yes, Trevor, I can. First of all, the healing from ranged champions when they proc it is reduced by 50%, so less sustained for your support next to you. More importantly, the bonus you used to get when you upgraded Relic Shield to Targon's Brace, the shield an AD carry would get, was super, super effective. Also with overheal in there, you got a lot of extra HP.
Yes.
That is completely gone, because this Relic Shield line and these support item lines are changed. Those quest rewards no longer exist. Now you get wards. You get effectively what used to be the Sightstone. And AD carries, they don't want to ward anything, so they step away from it. They just wanted the shield from Targon's Brace. It's gone. That means Doran's Shield, Doran's Blade. We like it.
Okay, so Doran's Shield, Doran's Blade. Let's see if that continues all day long. It should. That's the expectation.
It should.
Sometimes.
Unless you really want to play a game where you have like 3 Sightstones or 2 Sightstones and a Tracker's Knife and you love vision, you can do that. Okay. Just makes you a little bit weaker as an AD carry because it doesn't really give you any combat stats you want.
Yeah, no combat stats, but maybe you don't need combat stats if you have wards for vision.
And you can see the enemy.
That's the goal.
You just can't fight them, but you can see them.
Well, talking about fighting, Kold fancies himself a shot against Caedrel. Rune Prison continues to chase down Caedrel. Flash is available. First blood picked up by Kold in Exile.
And I just want to say, we set this in Champ Select already. Ryze, Jarvan can gank the Zoe. They did level 2. We didn't get to follow it from level 1 to level 2 because we were busy talking about AD carries not buying Relic Shield. But we've seen this like 3 times in the UOL CS when Ryze plays against Zoe. Jarvan gets 1 buff and he goes mid.
Now it works out. So early advantage to...
Also, he stole away H2K's red buff. Right now you can see Santorin is on top side with the Croxy, and Kold just took the 2nd red buff for himself. So not only does he kill the mid laner, he also counter jungles. That's insane.
Really good start here for Kold and the Unicorns of Love.
And a Dane invading a Dane just seems wrong.
Well, this time round, it's the Unicorns Dane that came out on top. And, you know, I imagine that is going to be a very big confidence boost for Exileh. Help him out in the lane. He's already got a tier at 3 minutes on the clock.
I mean, yeah, it's a pretty good start in that mid lane. Caedrel's Cleanse was also used before. I didn't get to see if he actually used it before the snare even hit him or not, but didn't matter. He couldn't actually stay alive.
Yeah, too much damage to follow up on that level 2 Zoe. And of course, we are working on getting those keystones graphic onto your screen.
So our boy Samux here,
you know.
our boy Samux here, Trevor, said, you know what? No double relic shield, less sustain, so I'm gonna bring some biscuits instead. So he's going to stay safe in this lane. He knows this poke from a Caitlyn. Probably will never get him low enough with the current builds he's going to get and the biscuits he's going to get to actually be much of a threat against him. But that means if you are Unicorns of Love, keep going mid lane, because Samux is fine bot lane. Don't worry about him.
Yeah, definitely going to just sustain themselves up relatively well. Let's talk about some of the other lanes we've not looked at yet. Smittyj is pushing in heavily into WhiteKnight up top.
As expected.
That minion wave, 2 of them getting closer and closer to the tower. So there's no surprises here. But this does open up Smittyj to a gank by Kold if he continues.
Yeah, he knows Kold is on top side. You saw Caedrel already backed away. He's like, nope, not doing this again. Kold really wants the mid lane or the Raptor camp. Why not both in this case? Santorin on his way to spot him. Still waiting around. Santorin will find him, and Smittyj also backed away. There's the Raptor camp. Unlucky timing. Just there 10 seconds too early. And Santorin gets to secure the camp for himself. Good early start though from Kold. Exactly what we want to see. WhiteKnight doesn't really want to show his image on that Gnar up in the top lane.
I can't wait for them to fix Mega Gnar's portrait. It will come back sooner or later. But it's a 300 gold lead for the Unicorns of Love. That CS deficit by WhiteKnight is part of the reason H2K are keeping it close. But it's still very, very early, and as it stands, the Unicorns of Love just going to be content with this early start.
Oh, he's going to stop the recall.
Do you think so? Not this time.
What? Easiest recall. Interrupt right there. Totoro didn't want to go for it, but look at this. Look at this, guys. We got the keystones. What do we see on one side over at H2K? We have Spellbook, mid lane, and bot lane, and instantly Sheriff swaps to TP, Promisq swaps to TP. This is going to be a thing that's even bigger now, is that we're going to get a lot of spell books. People really learn to use them on AD carries, typically on supports as well, and then you get these 5-6 TP games where it's all about pushing lanes, recall, get TP back to lane, and just continue the pressure and try and get a tempo advantage. Sheriff is early right now. Samux did not change his summoners, saved the heal for now.
So what you're trying to tell me is it's all going to be about tempo.
And it's going to be a lot about pushing lanes.
Pushing the lane.
And then roaming first because you TP in or try and secure bot lane, tower, all these kind of things. We will see with this TP meta.
TP meta, stopwatch meta, game 1 and 8.2. So he's going to be more effective with it. The last time we talked about support itemization, Deficio, a kill happened. So I'm going to try it again.
Okay.
Let's talk about some of the removed support items.
Oh.
Of course, the old tier 3 upgrades.
Rest in peace.
Rest in peace.
Heart of Gold, Frost Queen's Claim now.
You're going way back.
That's an old school one. But Frost Queen's Claim, Talisman, Face of the Mountain, they're all dead. They're gone. We didn't even like nerf them, change them. We just killed them straight away. Simply means now that when you have your Targon's Brace, in this case, you have both these supports to upgrade the Relic Shield once, get 500 gold, and they will automatically upgrade into what is now the new Sightstone. Start with only getting 1 ward, but once you go back to base, you can fill it up, get 3 wards from it. You can then further upgrade it to get a bit more stats from it and an extra ward for yourself. And it simply means as a support now, you can much quicker get to building real items and not just Sightstone.
And that feels good. That feels very good.
It actually feels really good. I like the change quite a lot. I think it makes it a lot more fun. There's a lot more different supports you can play because you can kind of change how you're now building when you don't have to rush for the same Sightstone item every game.
And look at this. We talk about support itemization and shenanigans are afoot. We got a bit of a swap on our hands, or not a swap rather. Different focus of pressure. Caedrel is heading up to help out Smittyj along with Santorin. Top outer tower is going to be the focus. Of course, on this patch, the outer turret's got a little bit tankier in the early game. We'll take a few extra shots. Maybe that extra armor is what keeps Unicorn's top lane tower alive for now. Take a quick glance down the bottom lane. Fairly equal damage. No tower first blood yet.
But that was a roam here from Caedrel and Santorin to top side. Smittyj should be able to get this tower down. We talked about his champ select already. Giving him the counter matchup makes a lot of sense because Smittyj is a good laner. He's been winning lanes so far in the LCS. He's been dealing a ton of damage for H2K as well from that top lane. So he's kind of been the standout player for H2K in the first 2 weeks. And giving him the Jayce, having him go up 25 CS already and will soon take a tower, great for H2K.
Yeah, really.
Santorin is here to make sure.
I mean, it's a big advantage here. Santorin's going to show his face to help out. Kold was down bottom. There's one of those teleports being channeled.
That's
it has to be
Promisq.
Promisq joining the fight. In fact, he's going to cancel it. That was just to keep the minion up, I imagine, for a potential dive or some sort of play that never came about. The race for Tower First Blood is on. Samux and Totoro, they've got some support from Kold, and it looks like Unicorns are going to win this. They got First Blood in the mid lane. They get Tower First Blood in the bottom lane. But, Deficio, I do have a very quick stat for you. Did you know that the team that gets first tower this year only wins 40% of the time? And the team that gets first dragon only wins 45% of the time out of the games you've had so far.
So now there's actually a higher chance Unicorns lose.
Correct.
Than
Correct.
win,
That's
based
what it
on
means.
them getting bot lane
The
tower.
Love Hurts crew are shaking their head at me. They are disappointed, but the stats don't lie, especially when they're that quick.
And to give a reason, you know, we are in a meta where if you draft for early game and you secure early turrets and early objectives, you end up often having a weaker late game comp. And the game's been very long, most of the time. Teams have kind of struggled to cleanly close them out in time, so we get to 40 minutes. And then the late game comp will just get stronger and stronger, Trevor. And then they will win the late game team fight. So very few teams have been able to use an early advantage to close out a game. I think Vitality has shown us they can do it.
Yes.
Which is one of the reasons it's really fun to watch them play. Other teams have said, full late game, don't take any objectives early on, wait 30 minutes, and then start playing League of Legends.
I love it. Take me back to Season 2, where it was 30 minutes of farming and a couple of team fights to decide the winner.
Trevor.
Here we talk about items. Oh, flash for flash. Totoro is looking for Caedrel. The stopwatch means Caedrel will stay alive a few seconds longer. Totoro uses the minion taxi to shuffle his way out, and that's going to at least be the summoner spells secured on Caedrel, but no kill down.
2 summoners gone. Totoro actually seems to have Hex Flash for himself. I like that on Alistar. That means that once you actually already use your flash, you can still look for crazy roams. It's not great if they're standing right in front of you, because they can see you charge it up. But if you're hiding, you know, around walls, you can use it over the wall to appear behind them all of a sudden. It's really good if you want to roam a lot. Moby Boots already completed for this Alistar. Let's see how he uses the Hex Flash for himself in this game here. Unicorns already had 1,500 gold. They have Exileh winning mid lane. He's not been punished at all. He got that first blood for himself, and it's a great start. Much safer start for Unicorns compared to what we've seen in some of the other games.
Yeah, and of course the gold lead in favor of Unicorns, the objective lead. They were the first to the punch for the kill, for the tower. Even that lane that is currently being bullied, WhiteKnight, who is down a significant amount of CS, 20 at this point, is kind of balanced by the team gold and the advantageous gold that the rest of the squad picked up. And so far, I'm impressed by what I'm seeing from Unicorns of Love.
Yeah, I mean, Verius, he was studying Unicorns of Love during the week, and he really noticed how good they were at playing around one winning lane. When they had a winning lane in the early game, they would commit towards it, and they will make sure that lane snowballed further. Now, it's not been mid lane very often, but it is in this game, and we actually saw the good roam from the Alistar, the force to summoners. Let's see what happens here. Caedrel, no summoners. Risky move. Was
a risky move, doesn't get punished for it. And Unicorns, they get the first dragon. Statistically speaking, fans, this is at the moment a bad sign for UOL, because 55% of the teams that did not get first dragon won the game.
Is it the same if you get both first tower and first dragon?
You know what? Let's ask the stats team, shall we? Stats team, teams who secure both first tower and first dragon.
And first blood.
What is their win percentage? Right now, EU LCS stats team backstage is going, damn you, Deficio.
Or they're going to be like, no one has ever done that, so that's fine. And then we can't really double check it, and they can just lie to us.
Well, we'll find out. Itemization-wise, starting to make our way up.
At some point, I wish I was a stats person, because...
You're not smart enough to be a stats person.
I'm aware of that. But when the casters would be like, hey, give me the stat for some really dumb thing, I would just wait 30 seconds, and then I would just ping them with like a fake number. Be like, yes, if you get first blood, first turret, you have roughly 7% chance of winning the game so far. And then Trevor, as the player
I would say confidently,
you would instantly just say that, and then you can just ruin the entire cast. Probably not the entire cast, but...
Question is, who would double check it? You know, that's the
thing. No one at home can double check this.
Listen, those biscuits that Samux invested in, he's just eaten his very first cookie right now. 13 minutes of laning phase. Unicorns continue to bully H2K around. 1,500 gold lead. Mid tower is the focus, and as it stands, Unicorns, they're grouping up and playing fairly well.
So we already talked about how Exileh is winning mid lane, Samux and Totoro have been controlling bot side. That means H2K's one winning lane is top. And if they want to use Smittyj, then he needs to push his lane past that tier 1 turret that's dead, and then he needs to start moving in towards mid and actually save his team a little bit because he's the strong member, or he needs to try and go for the tier 2 tower. But right now, he's getting ganked.
Oh, Smittyj, what kind of day will you be having? Teleport's not going to be there in time. In fact, it's cancelled. Hammer to the skies and a cataclysm for Kold means Smittyj is dunked 2-0 in kills. And Unicorns, they are in control.
Losing mid control means the enemy team can roam. Enemy team just roamed to the top lane and killed Smittyj. So the one winning lane for H2K just got set behind a bit more. Means WhiteKnight gets a push out. Probably go back, spend some of his gold. He's been just trying to hold on. 2,000 gold currently on the Gnar. So can go back and get some more tanky items. And it is a problem for H2K. They can only play around top side. But Smittyj has already killed his turret. And they can't really use his advantage any further, because if you can't push for tier 2 tower, well, if you don't control mid, that's too risky, you get ganked. Then he needs to roam to mid lane and try and land poke, but then he's not really utilizing his big lead, and he's building Blade the Ruined King first.
Yes.
That's I'm gonna auto-attack you in the face build.
Yeah, that's definitely not a...
That's how you auto-attack in the face.
And Siege as a group. Unfortunately, they're...
I did like a saw animation right there when he's auto-attacking.
I wish you could see Deficio's hand movements there. Anyways, I do have an update.
Nothing dirty.
I have an update for you, Deficio. Teams that secure First Blood, First Tower, and First Dragon win 38.5% of the time.
38?
Goes down.
So it's worse.
Correct.
Getting all three extra
Correct. Statistically, I'm saying it that way. So, unfortunately,
That's unlucky, Unicorns to love.
Now, okay, but now, the reason for that was because it was early game comps.
Yes.
Let's look at the team comps. We're very comfortably easing ourselves into mid-game. They're scaling on the side of UOL.
Yeah, I think the scaling is just fine here for Unicorns to love. This will not be the kind of game where they hit late game and they have no chance of winning. Jayce in the late game is super hard to execute in team fights. Zoe as well. If you can't land poke before the fight starts, people can jump you, CC you, and you can't get out as a Zoe. So I think Unicorns Love's comp late game is by no means a lot worse than H2K's. And that means this might be one of the games where they can actually win, despite getting First Blood, First Turret, and First Drake.
Well, 0-4 in the split. Samux takes a beat down from Sheriff and Promisq, forced to use the Buster Shot just to defend himself, and he does. He's able to escape with his life. Here comes Santorin, and it's just to charge up that elastic slingshot, but unable to find anybody with those goopy arms, and that means H2K are still grabbing at straws. They don't even have Rift Herald. Every single map objective that could be secured first has been done so by UOL.
And my boy Smittyj wants to push further, but he's afraid he might get ganked. Now, there is some control mid from Sheriff, and Santorin is in the river right here to try and protect him, so Smittyj can move forward, push another wave, but he needs to get into the enemy jungle and take camps or get to the tier 2 turret before he's really utilizing that lead, and it's hard for him when the rest of the team are pushed that far back on the map. Totoro? No?
No, not this time around. Not this time
around. There's nothing to fight, actually. There was no one there.
We've got a few more stats that we have prepared, Deficio, and looking at the Unicorns of Love jungle proximity, which again is the amount of time that the jungler spends around his laners.
Oh, Trevor.
Every time we do some prep, the engage happens. Promisq the target, will flash away to safety. Here comes Santorin, gets Rune prisoned in place, and a couple of overloads to his face. For Unicorns of Love, now they're sieging the tower. This is the second of the game. Very big paddle star to Samux, means he almost gets chunked down. Exileh, Rune prisons Caedrel in reply, but it's Unicorns that get the objective.
It's another out of turret here, Trevor, and you've learned now, whenever you start talking about stats, we get a fight.
Action happens.
This might be the way to break this current meta. For now, though, 17 minutes in. I know it's only 2 kills, but we've had enough stuff happening.
Oh, yes.
There's been roams, there's been pushing towards turrets. It's not been a super slow game just yet, despite low kills.
It's just been clean. You know, Unicorns, they took charge, and everywhere they've made a play, they have come away better.
Yeah, and they're not gambling. They're not going for the crazy 50-50 plays so far. They've always moved in multiple members so that H2K couldn't defend, couldn't force a fight against them. They've always kept track of Smittyj in the top lane, the only play they have to be afraid of at the moment, and it's been a very good early game from Unicorns Love. Exileh sadly didn't get the blue buff. Can't get it all.
Not this time around. If you look at the minimap, wards being pushed deeper into H2K's territory, and of course Smittyj was the threat from H2K. He was shutting down WhiteKnight, Let's take a quick look at WhiteKnight's stats. Come on, let's see if we can test the magic here.
Oh, stats.
They're fighting again. Every single time, there's some magical ability. We will talk about those numbers in a moment. Exileh's trying to put his best Jizuki impression on. Will unfortunately not pull it off this time round.
He's buying time though, 1v2.
Indeed. Look at the minimap. The rest of Unicorns are pushing towards the top
he's
half.
asleep.
That's a sleepy trouble bubble. Paddle store to the face. And today, Exileh adds another isolated death to the cause, but it is in exchange for a top outer turret.
Exactly, and he saved his summoners because he was asleep, so he couldn't actually use the flash when he died, and that meant the team gets a turret for 1 kill only over to H2K. Still a fine trade for the Unicorns of Love. Drake is alive, and they can go grab that one after, because H2K at this point are in that really tough spot they've been in before already, where the early game, it's so slow, and they often maybe only have like one lane they can play around, and the enemy team just kind of counter it. This play from Exileh, I can't really blame him for trying to go for the 1v2. He knows his team is making a play on the top side, and that's why he's like, you know what, I'll take this one. Looks fine, he could have walked away here, but then Caedrel lands the bubble onto him. And yeah, you can't do much against that one.
You get dunked. But the thing that I like is there was enough communication. Exileh was in the side lane at the right time because his team was standing up top. So even though it looks a little not great, you end up getting the objective, and that is what matters. 20 minutes go by, Deficio. 3,000 gold lead for the Unicorns of Love, and they're scaling very well. They've got a comfortable lead. Now they're going to knock over those inner turrets, and itemization continues to grow. 2 item spikes across the board here.
Yeah, and even better for WhiteKnight. He got, away from his turret died. Meant he kept getting waves pushed towards him. He could just farm and push back. He's been stacking a lot of armor to try and stay alive against Smittyj, and it's much easier for him now to just sit and push the lane out, and then they can play around mid and bot lane. Exileh, he knows he's strong. He takes the 1v1 easily. As long as his team is nearby, he can keep pushing.
Yeah, absolutely. And Deficio, you mentioned that Vedius was looking very closely at Unicorns of Love this week. It reminded me of a timeline. It was a pretty dark timeline when Exileh first joined the Unicorns. And he also tried to play side lane.
He did.
On Yasuo.
Oh, God, yes.
And it was not great. It was not a great start to the split. It wasn't a great debut on stage. But as the split went on, as more and more games was under his belt, Exileh grew, Unicorns grew, and they ended up improving as time went on. And this is exactly what you expect of a team that has been in the LCS for such a long time, growth over time.
Fun fact, though, his very first game, you're correct when he showed us the Yasuo for the first time.
Yes.
It was in the side lane, but the very first game he played on stage was against Origin and Xpeke in the mid lane. And he won that game with LeBlanc 2-0, because I believe we had best of 2 at that point. I know I said that loud, please don't kill me, but we did have best of 2.
It's not a swear word, Deficio.
Is it not?
It's not.
I thought I only got one of these or something. But he actually carried that game super hard. And he was like split pushing. We were like, whoa, this guy is crazy in the side lane. Then he picked Yasuo the next week, and he just died every game. We were like, okay, hang on. Let's see what happens up top.
See, every time we go into story mode, WhiteKnight's going to get pulled backwards into the minions. A lot of damage from the 4-man stack. Ace in the hole, not going to be enough.
Ah, that's not for you, Zoe.
I don't know if the paddle star would have connected anyway, but H2K get themselves a kill.
What they're going to lose?
1 tower so far. This will be a second as Samux, Kold, and Totoro are demolishing this mid-inner turret. However, H2K look to take the top inner, so it's a trade. 2 towers for 1, but the extra kill to H2K.
Yeah, but WhiteKnight is definitely calling worth in all chat right there, and also 5-man top question mark, because right now H2K might actually get caught, or at least Smittyj. He's all alone.
Oh, Smittyj, how well can you escape? Teleport as well as flashes up. Sidestep is going to fire down those accelerated push gates, and he's going to get locked into the Oh man, he actually knocks Exileh out to safety. Deficio, you're not meant to point out the waffle.
There's the gears and...
Oh, all of the words just molded into one. But anyway, Smittyj gets shut down, and that means Unicorns, they also get the kill. They also got the tower advantage, and the Totoro-Kold duo pull towards Caedrel and Promisq. Promisq's ultimate's already been used, so he can't use that defensively, and Santorin is forced to flash away. It seems and feels like Baron is now the focus.
Well, let's see if Unicorns of Love want to start playing around it. They do have great vision control, but obviously now H2K get a chance to clear that out, because everyone from Unicorns will kind of go back. Got to re-push out these lanes. Bot lane is a huge wave. Everyone is missing at the moment.
Yeah.
Also, We got the 4 TPs on H2K side. We talked about it earlier. It is important to note if you have the TP with you going into a team fight, that doesn't... Whoa, that's
is that enough for a kill? So close.
Samux, he knew. He walked away. He didn't even look back.
That was a little close. But to go back to the Baron discussion really quickly, H2K actually have some of the best Baron control of the last few weeks. The only 2 that they have conceded were last week, and they resulted in them losing the game instantaneously. Yeah. We showed the Misfits replay. Those 2 opponent Barons on your screen. But the one thing that is just insane is when they conceded those Barons, the average opponent Baron power play was 7,200 gold, which is insanely huge.
Because the teams always had to take multiple towers down before they got to finish the game. It wasn't like H2K had already lost the entire base and you just had to run in and finish. It was actually even, and then the Baron goes over to the other team and they lose everything. If that happens in this game, well, they have been behind all game long. There's still enough turrets for them to try and stall, and they have Zoe, who can constantly try and land this poke we've seen already to try and prevent Unicorns from maybe getting Baron and finishing the game. But Exileh, crazy man in the side lane, getting some more damage on this turret. Caedrel here to defend. Remember again, 4 TPs on H2K, so they can easily defend bot lane and then still TP into a fight.
And every single time Exileh is applying pressure, the rest of the Unicorns are grouped up, you know, setting up vision, getting themselves in position to challenge for a cross-map play.
And I almost feel at this point, you have too many TPs on H2K because you are looking to team fight, and the TP is not going to help you in the actual team fight itself. That's why you want either a more offensive summoner or more defensive summoner, not a global.
Yes.
So if you are H2K, unless you're planning on trying to set up some sort of cross-map play, which you can't really do seeing as you're pushed back to your tier 2 turrets, so you can't really trade for anything at the moment. You do need some combat summoners.
Okay, gonna remind you of those stats. If Unicorns pick up this Baron, the average Baron power play, 7,200. I want to start that timer.
Exileh is fighting Trevor.
He is indeed. Exileh is
something with a number.
By the way, take a look at the gold difference. The observers can flick over between Exileh and Caedrel. 2,000 gold separates these guys already. 50 CS, you know, the tower gold, the kills. Exileh is taking over this game, and Caedrel opted into this matchup. He picked Zoe after the first pick Ryze.
Then Kold said, here's my Jarvan.
Yep.
And Kold went mid. The Danes invaded the British once again. It was successful, and they shut down Caedrel. Just like we did 1,000 years ago. Go Vikings.
If anybody doesn't know, Deficio is a Danish Viking aficionado.
Like every day.
Loads of information about it. Nobody saw that fail over the wall. WhiteKnight caught just a glimpse of it. Totoro is going to try to escape with that unbreakable will slowly time out as Promisq gets himself a little tag on the slow. And the Unicorns unable to take the Baron, but they forced a couple flashes, or just the one rather. Maintain their 4,000 gold lead.
We got the bubble.
It is sleepy, but no trouble today. Because Caedrel just can't quite close the gap. But the main thing is, Unicorns have maybe sort of attempted the Baron, attempted the setup, but they're not pulling the trigger yet.
Well, they have been doing a good job in the bot lane. Exileh almost took down the turret. Needs to just set up the exact same play again, where he's pushing bot side, WhiteKnight pushes top, and Samux pushes mid. And then Exileh should be able to get this turret down, because no one can, like, easily 1v1 him. I'm still waiting to see what these 4 TPs can do, seeing as H2K keep them on all 4 members and not switch them around. Is it a play where they go 5-man bot to kill Exileh, then TP straight to Baron?
Yeah.
Like, that is something you can do, and it's kind of crazy because the macro part of this game now, when it's possible that you have so many globals, it's kind of crazy and hard to predict what's going to happen, because teams can go for some crazy moves where suddenly you normally would never do it.
You have to do something, right?
You have to do something.
You have to use the teleports and find the up-jump. I'm looking at the wards in the river for H2K. There's not a lot. Exileh's picking a fight with Smittyj. Overload after overload, using that spell flux, and despite taking a shock blast to the face.
We have to remember Smittyj's build is auto-attack focused. It is not pure poke focused. There's no lethality from him on this side here. He needs to constantly hit with Black Cleaver. We might actually get that TP gank bot into TP to Baron.
Let's try that again. So start that over.
Okay, sorry. We almost had the bot lane from H2K ganking Exileh bot to then TP into the Baron. Now they're running there. You have TPs, man. They're running there.
Didn't help yourself on that one. Exileh's taken the tower in the bottom lane.
They almost went to the bot lane.
Have no idea how to stop this push.
Well, Smittyj, as I was trying to say before I got onto the TPs, Can't get enough autos off, except for now.
All right, he's going to look for the chase. There's the shield for Exileh. Minion wave will help out Exileh, and Smittyj decides to turn away. Caedrel dashes forward and continues to back up the rest of Unicorns. They're starting off the Baron.
Yeah, but we have Caedrel and Smittyj. They can TP to the Baron.
4,000 hit points, 3,000 hit points, H2K. They've not pulled the trigger yet. And Totoro's backing away, but so are the Unicorns. They don't finish off the Baron. No teleports are used. And we continue to fall.
That could have been a big one.
That was very close.
Missed it. Instead, mid lane turret taking damage here. Unicorns of Love did not want to risk Santorin stealing the Baron. They had the Alistar outside the pit, though. I think they could have tried to commit to it and then just headbutt Santorin away before he got in range. But they did not want to risk it. So 29 minutes in. Still only 5 kills, but Unicorns in control. And Exileh finally got the bot lane inhib turret.
Martin, I have another quick stat for you. Of the dragons that have been killed this game, 3 of them Clouds. No other EU LCS game has had 3 Cloud Drakes killed. Also, Unicorns of Love have killed 8 dragons. This split.
This game might be the rule breaker.
It might be. 3 of those 8 dragons were Clouds. And if UOL can get this Ocean, it'll be the first time in 2018 on this stage.
Wow.
There's a quick stat for you.
That is
take to the bank.
Truly a useless stat that didn't benefit anyone. But Exileh doesn't care.
Got a question for you, which I'll ask after this fight. Smittyj running all the way down Caedrel. I think the minions actually blocked. That's a very good paddle star. Hex Trick is going to pop. More of Malmortius comes up. Secondary shot goes down. Exileh continues to run, continues to chase down Exileh. Looking to turn it around. Flashes forward. The hammer comes down from Smittyj. To the right. Hourglass escape. The Deficio combo saves Exileh's life.
Alright, that was pretty cool. I can accept it this time around. They're starting Baron again. The Alistar is trying to deny the Zac.
Well, let's take a look at the smites. Kold level 13, Santorin level 13. They found the teleport button. H2K figured out they have a second summoner spell. The Unbreakable is thrown out by Totoro. He's looking to fight. Pick up fight. WhiteKnight gets him into the wall with the Gnar. Here comes the backup. Unicorns take down Smittyj. Kold is golden for now as the satchel charge is being hammered away. That's another for UOL. Exileh gets them down. Running down Promisq and Caedrel. The spell flux is bouncing. Another stopwatch goes on. A double for Exileh. Closed up by Totoro, and Unicorns get 4 kills.
And it all starts in that bot lane when Exileh is playing 1v2 against Caedrel and Smittyj. He then uses his combo to get out. And of course, his TP was already there, so he came into the fight. And Unicorns once again did not want to risk a 50-50 Baron, so they walk out and they take the team fight instead, and they win it. Great play from Unicorns of Love. They get the Baron at 31 minutes. If we stick to the week 2 tradition, then Unicorns of Love will win within the next 2 minutes of the game.
But 2.5 if you average it out, technically.
It's actually amazing how one team in Europe in week 2 tried to pull the average game time down.
Yes.
It was H2K.
Single-handed.
They lost around 30 minutes both games.
Yes. And of course, it was within 3 minutes of giving out the Baron. Actually, against Misfits, it was 1 minute 9 seconds after that Baron. Okay, so here was the setup. Unicorns of Love trying to pull the distraction. What do you make of the fight?
Well, once we actually get the Alistar ulti to delay it, I like the call from Unicorns. They know there are 5 members around, but they also know they're strong. They can take a team fight here against H2K. The Jayce in team fights, it's so hard to execute it properly. Same thing with Zoe when you can't land the poke first. We already mentioned this earlier, so Unicorns know that comp is better for team fighting. So why not just take it? And that's exactly what they do. Don't risk any Baron steals when you know you're stronger in team fights.
And of course, this all started because of Exileh's 1v2 in the bottom lane. You know, Exileh picked that fight with Smittyj and Caedrel. Caedrel and Smittyj opted into it.
German faker, basically.
And managed to escape. So, very good performance here from Exileh, as well as the rest of Unicorns, playing the map, playing the pressure game well.
We always have a lot of questions regarding his performance, but when he shows up in a game like this, he applies so much pressure to the enemy team. Even with all the TPs, they couldn't send multiple members bot and kill him and then go into the Baron fight. They could never actually really push past the river in the last 15 minutes, basically, for H2K. So they've been forced so far back on the map. They're trying to wave clear now, but the bot lane is already open. The turret died much earlier in this game, and now there's Baron buffed minions. Exileh's combo is ready with the Hourglass and Ryze ult. Can enjoy that one for one more patch, the way it looks right now.
Oh man, I can't wait for that combo to be removed. Let's talk about the items, by the way, on the supports, because of course, they theoretically could have started spending earlier. When you make of Locket, Righteous Glory, as well as just that Celestial Eye on the side of Promisq. I mean, are we seeing more? Are we seeing less than what we would usually have seen at this point?
This is pretty standard so far. They spent, I think it's a total of 1,800 gold on upgrading from Targon's up. When you do the full upgrade, all the gold combined is around 1,800 to get Eye of the Watchers there, or as it's called
Celestial
now,
Eye.
the Eye of the Aspect.
Oh, Eye of the Aspect.
Excuse me. Fully upgraded.
That's it.
So that is what we get with the Sightstone for now. For the supports, nothing too fancy. Maybe we get some other ones in the next few games we can talk about.
I think we are on track for that 3-minute game victory if Unicorns continue
They gotta hurry though. They gotta hurry.
They've got 3 inhibitors down.
Got another TP now.
Oh, will die shortly anyway. Exileh turns that one around onto Sheriff. Here comes Totoro. Totoro's looking to interrupt. Exileh already forced to flash. Kold's got the Cataclysm available. Needs to lock people in. Forward and dunk. Defensive flash from Sheriff, and they're running for their lives. WhiteKnight uses the walls of the Cataclysm to stun Smittyj. Still nobody has died, but Samux is hammering away on the Nexus turrets. The first has already fallen, and the second continues to. 35 seconds before they die. H2K might make this 3 games in a row where they lose in the duration of Baron buff. Forced to flash away defensively. Totoro is the first victim for the Unicorns of Love. But look at the Baron empowered minions. They're pouring through the lane. WhiteKnight and Exileh are taking everybody down. And for the 3rd time in a row, H2K are defeated. But it's the first of the split for the Unicorns of Love.
And overall, a really good game for Unicorns of Love here. They played around mid lane first. Good gank from Kold. Getting that first blood for Exileh. And then Exileh controlled the mid lane. Went to the side lane later. Played 1v2 in the side lane. Was annoying the entire game long. And the one winning lane for H2K top was Smittyj. He got his turret. He did his job. But then he couldn't do anything else because they were losing mid, they were losing bottom. Whenever he moved past the river, he just got ganked. So they couldn't utilize a split pushing Jayce, and they couldn't group and win team fights because their comp was weaker in team fights. H2K couldn't afford to fall behind the way they did. Sadly for them, it's another game with a very, very slow, passive early mid game, and it gets punished.
And for the Unicorns, almost the opposite. Controlled early game, decisive, the right place at the right time. And that man on your screen, Kold, set Exileh up. Exileh's most played champion on the EU LCS stage is Ryze, 23 games played.
And his best champion.
And he just picked up his 12th win, so a little over 50% win ratio. But that was an impressive victory for UOL, in my opinion. However, you have to cover it against the fact that this is the 9th and 10th ranked teams at the moment. Maybe not officially in standings, but you know, in terms of performance, in terms of the shakiness we've seen.
I mean, luckily, it's early on in the split for both teams. There is still plenty of time, but getting this win here for Unicorns of Love, tying H2K down at the bottom.
1-4 now,
1-4 both teams. It is important, and I guess also for Unicorns of Love, getting some confirmation in that some of the things you're working on in practice pays off. It's worth it, because now you see improvement from last week to this week. Great use of the Ryze here, and good early game, and another good game from Kold as well.
I mean, we had question marks around Exileh's performance. We looked at all of his stats we were showing. We had question marks around Kold's impact. You know, he was running, what, the Rengar, the Kayn, the Evelynn.
Yeah.
Unable to make impacts. Goes to the Jarvan, instant successful gank, and starts the trickle, at least the snowball, at least the eventual win.
100% win rate for Kold when he's not on a pure carry jungler. Confirmed that Kold needs to play Jarvan, Zac, Sejuani.
Well, Sejuani was banned away this game.
Also,
she's going to show up.
Unicorns of Love just won a game despite getting first Drake, first turret, and first blood.
They go against the odds. What is the probability of that? Anyways, after the break, we'll hear from Giants coach Totoro before 2 of the top teams in EU LCS, Rocket and Giants, get a chance to sit alone on top of the table as they're battling for first place. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.